Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Munir. Coming up in the next hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says tribal communities' contribution central to India's identity, hails Birsa Munda as symbol of tribal courage and resistance. US President Donald Trump rolls back tariffs on over 200 food products amid mounting pressure due to rising prices. Lahore High Court judge resigns, protesting against constitutional amendment in Pakistan that gives Army Chief Asif Munir lifetime immunity from arrest and prosecution. Congo and Rwanda-backed rebels M23 signed framework for a peace deal in Doha to stop deadly fighting in the Central African nation. And in cricket, India seized control over South Africa on day 2 of the opening test match. Ravindra Jadeja takes 4 wickets at the crumbling Eden track. Prime Minister Narendra Modi marked the 150th birth anniversary of Bhagwan Birsa Munda with a major tribal development push in Gujarat on Saturday. PM Modi unveiled projects worth nearly $1.1 billion, including new Eklavya schools, tribal research centers, buses and road projects to boost education and connectivity in tribal regions. Prime Minister Modi said that tribal communities' contribution is central to India's identity and hailed Birsa Munda as a symbol of tribal courage and resistance. DD India's Nishchoy Roy reports.
From heartfelt wishes to historic tributes and a massive development push, Prime Minister Narendra Modi marked Jharkhand's Foundation Day and 115th birth anniversary of Dharti Aba Bhagwan Birsa Munda with a power-packed day in Gujarat. From honoring the legendary tribal freedom fighter to unveiling projects worth nearly $1.1 billion, the Prime Minister turned the spotlight firmly on tribal empowerment and rural transformation. Addressing the gathering, PM Modi reaffirmed the government's commitment to uplifting tribal villages and strengthening infrastructure in remote and rural regions.
PM जनमन योजना पर 24,000 करोड़ रुपए खर्च किए जा रहे हैं। साथियों, धरती आबा जनजातीय ग्राम उत्कर्ष अभियान भी पिछड़े आदिवासी गांवों के विकास की नई गाथा लिख रहा है। देश भर में अब तक 60,000 से अधिक गांव इस अभियान से जुड़ चुके हैं। इनमें से हजारों गांव ऐसे हैं जहां पहली बार पीने का पानी पाइपलाइन से पहुंचा है और सैकड़ों गांवों में टेलीमेडिसिन की सुविधा शुरू हुई है। इस अभियान के तहत ग्राम सभाओं को विकास की धुरी बनाया गया है। गांवों में स्वास्थ्य, शिक्षा, पोषण, कृषि और आजीविका पर सामुदायिक योजनाएं तैयार हो रही है। ये अभियान दिखाता है कि अगर कुछ ठान लिया जाए तो हर असंभव लक्ष्य भी संभव बन जाता है।
The Prime Minister inaugurated 42 Ekalavya Model Residential Schools for tribal students and launched 228 multi-purpose centers to support community-led activities. PM Modi also inaugurated the Center of Competence at Assam Medical College in Dibrugarh and the Tribal Research Institute in Imphal, aimed at preserving tribal heritage. Boosting connectivity, the Prime Minister flagged off 250 buses for 14 tribal districts in Gujarat and laid the foundation stone for 748 kilometers of new roads. Furthering educational development, PM Modi announced 50 additional Eklavya Model Residential Schools for tribal children. The event also witnessed vibrant cultural performances showcasing the rich traditions of tribal communities. Earlier in the day, Prime Minister Modi offered prayers at the temple of Pandori Mata, the clan deity of the tribal community in Devmogra village of Sagbara Taluka. Prime Minister Modi's visit underscored a clear message: inclusive growth, cultural pride, and strengthened connectivity remain at the heart of India's development journey. Nishoy Roy's report for DD India.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi received a grand welcome during a spectacular roadshow in Dediapada in Gujarat on Saturday. Flowers were showered along the route as thousands lined the streets, waving flags and capturing the moment on their phones. The Prime Minister greeted the crowd from his specially designed vehicle, while enthusiastic supporters applauded and responded to his gestures throughout the roadshow. Tribal Pride Day is being celebrated today. The day, which is celebrated on 15th November every year, honors tribal people who are contributing to the creation of a strong India. The contribution to nation building is also remembered.
November 15th is a day to honor the rich culture, centuries-old traditions and historical heritage. This day is extremely important to remember the contributions of tribal people who have lived in India since ancient times to nation building. November 15th is celebrated every year as Tribal Pride Day. This day is dedicated to the brave tribal people and the god of tribal people, Birsa Munda, who sacrificed his life in India's freedom struggle, whose birth anniversary is today. Birsa Munda was born on November 15, 1875. His struggle earned him the title of God. He led the tribal movement against the British. Bhagwan Birsa Munda is not just a name. He is a thought that sacrificed everything for the honor of tribal people and the pride of the country. Tribal Pride Day is the day that tells the future generations of the country the unforgettable story of the contributions of Birsa Munda and hundreds of tribal people like him. Celebrating Tribal Pride Day began on November 15th, 2021, on the completion of 75 years of independence. The purpose of this day is to honor the tribal freedom fighters and tribal people engaged in nation building. Tribal Pride Day celebration began as a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, marking 75th independence. Tribal Pride Day is also a day for citizens of the country to connect with the tribal society and understand their cultural heritage. This day symbolizes recognition of the traditions of tribal society. This day raises awareness about the development and rights of the scheduled tribes. Every year, the Government of India organizes cultural programs and workshops on Tribal Pride Day, prioritizing the display of tribal art and their issues. This day provides an opportunity to show respect for tribal art and their rights. In 2021, the Tribal Freedom Fighter Museum was established in the country, through which the heroic tales of tribal heroes are being shared with the world. Additionally, the Prime Minister's mission for specially vulnerable tribal groups is underway, which aims to connect tribals with the dream of a developed India by raising awareness of their rights. The Government of India also operates a Eklavya model, residential schools, and Vandhan Vikas Kendra for tribals. Museums for tribals have been established in Chindwara and Jabalpur. Tribal research institutes are also operating in Srinagar and Gangtok. Tribal Pride Day is an effort to foster the dream of tribal survival and self reliance. Bureau Report, DD India.
People from Bihar gave a rousing reception to Prime Minister Narendra Modi during his visit to Surat on Saturday. A large number of community members gathered to meet and greet the Prime Minister, expressing their enthusiasm and warmth. PM Modi lauded the hard-working nature and resilience of Bihar's people, highlighting their significant contribution to country's growth and development. During his address, Prime Minister Modi also hailed the people of Bihar for choosing NDA in the recent assembly elections, saying their mandate reflects trust in development, stability, and a vision for a stronger future.
समाज के सब वर्ग ने, बिहार के सभी क्षेत्र ने एनडीए को, एनडीए के साथी दलों को अभूतपूर्व समर्थन दिया है। अगर मैं जहां दलित समुदाय के प्रभाव वाले क्षेत्र वाली सीटें हैं, 38 सीटें, 34 सीटें एनडीए जीत गया। ये इतना बड़ा झूठ फैलाते थे, दलित समाज ने उनको ठुकरा दिया।
In a tragic incident, at least 9 people were killed and several others were injured in a blast near the Nogam police station in Jammu and Kashmir on Friday night. Police said the blast was an accident that occurred during the handling of explosive material recovered in a terror module investigation.
Unfortunate accidental incident, 9 people have lost their lives, whereas 27 police personnel, 2 revenue officials and 3 civilians have received injuries. Injured were immediately rushed to the medical care and attention. The building of police station has received severe damages, besides some of the buildings surrounding the police station. The cause of the accident is being investigated. However, any other speculation into the cause of these incidents are unnecessary. The government stands in solidarity with the families of the deceased in this hour of grief.
Earlier, Jammu and Kashmir's DGP Anil Prabhat clarified that the explosion at the Nogam police station in Srinagar was accidental and ruled out any sabotage. Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha has ordered a probe into the incident and expressed deep grief over the tragedy. The DGP also said the police station suffered huge damage while adjoining buildings were affected too. A probe is underway to ascertain the cause of the explosion that left 9 dead. Jammu and Kashmir Minister Sakina Itu visited victims' families of accidental explosion at Nogam police station to offer condolences. As a mark of solidarity, the J&K government has announced ex gratia relief from the Chief Minister's Relief Fund of 10 lakh rupees for each deceased and 1 lakh rupees for those severely injured in the accidental explosion. India's Union Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal expressed India's desire to lead reforms that would address the welfare of the entire world. He argued that India has a leadership role at the WTO and the world recognizes the country's strength and leadership.
I think the world recognizes India's strength. The world recognizes India's leadership. Prime Minister Narendra Modi clearly has demonstrated to the world very compassionate leadership, but very strong leadership. We will continue to be a responsible global citizen. We will continue to be the voice of the global South. We would love to lead reform, but what that reform is will be decided in consultation with other developing and less developed countries so that we can truly work for the welfare of the entire world and not just the agenda of a few developed nations.
Affordable medicines and reliable implants for treatment or AMRIT initiative completed 10 years. To mark the occasion, Union Health Minister JP Nadda attended a program in New Delhi. The minister praised AMRIT's impact and congratulated HLL for its work. He recalled that since 2014, under PM Modi's leadership, the focus has been on making healthcare accessible, affordable and equitable, leading to programs like AMRIT and Jan Mahotsav. He also launched AMRIT Eco Green Ties 2.0 and urged authorities to expand AMRIT outlets to at least 500 so that every medical college and district hospital has this essential service.
Celebrating 10 years of AMRIT, affordable medicine and reliable implant treatment program, and we are completing 10 years. First of all, I would like to congratulate HLL for the good work they have done for the past 10 years. My congratulations to them. If we talk, it was in 2014 when Prime Minister Modi took over, we decided that we should make health accessible, affordable and equitable. And keeping that in mind, we started one after another 2 programs. One is the AMRIT and the another was Jan Aushadhi. Both were for giving the services at an affordable rates.
Still to come on DD India News Hour. Trump says he is considering F-35 fighter jet deal with the Saudis. The UN Security Council will vote on Monday on a resolution backing President Donald Trump's Gaza peace plan. Russia claims that its forces have captured another settlement in Ukraine.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour with me, Munir Bhattacharya. US President Donald Trump rolled back tariffs on more than 200 food products, including such staples as coffee, beef, bananas, and orange juice. Besides these tariff exemptions, the United States also reached a framework trade agreement with Switzerland to slash tariffs on imported Swiss products to 15% from 39%. These announcements came on the heels of Washington's new trade agreements with 4 South and Central American countries, which could lead to lower duties on some coffee and banana imports.
Amid mounting pressure from Americans over the soaring cost of living, US President Donald Trump signed an order to reduce tariff on more than 200 food products. While announcing the relief measures, Trump also proposed $2,000 payments for Americans from tariff dividends.
It's a lot of money, but we've taken in a lot of money from tariffs. The tariffs allow us to give a dividend if we want to do that. Now we're going to do a dividend, and we're also going to be reducing debt.
Among the products targeted are commodities that the US imports in order to meet domestic demand. The products range from coffee, beef, bananas, tomatoes, oranges, acai berries, paprika, to cocoa, chemicals used in food production, fertilizers, and even communion wafers. Apart from the new tariff exemptions, United States and Switzerland announced a framework trade agreement to slash tariffs on goods from Switzerland to 15% from 39%.
The United States has agreed to reduce the level of additional tariffs. For Switzerland, these tariffs will now be capped at 15%, which, as I have said, put us on equal footing with the European Union.
The new framework trade agreement includes a pledge by Swiss companies to invest $200 billion into the US by the end of 2028. The Swiss government said the deal, which includes Liechtenstein, will reduce Swiss import duties on US industrial products, fish and seafood, and agricultural products that Switzerland considers non-sensitive. Switzerland will grant the US duty-free bilateral tariff quotas on 500 tons of beef, 1,000 tons of bison meat, and 1,500 tons of poultry meat. The framework trade agreement came as a relief for the Swiss and Geneva economy.
This is excellent news indeed, and I must say this is a true relief for the Swiss and Geneva economy, which had been unduly damaged by punitive tariffs. So again, a breath of fresh air for the Swiss economy. It is worth remembering that Geneva is the second largest importer at the national level, but also to the US, which is our second trading partner. We're talking about 3.5 billions for Geneva only.
Earlier on Thursday, Trump administration announced framework trade deals that, once finalized, will eliminate tariffs on certain foods and other imports from Argentina, Ecuador, Guatemala, and El Salvador. With Fuzail Ahmed, Tanvi Taneja for DD India.
US President Donald Trump said China has agreed to buy US soybeans and other farm goods after talks between Washington and Beijing on Friday. He claimed the purchases were already underway, though he did not specify which officials took part in the discussions. Later on Friday, Trump signed an order lowering US tariffs on imports such as beef, coffee, bananas and tomatoes to ease cost of living pressures.
Yeah, and they're in the process of doing it. We spoke to them today. They're in the process of doing not only a little bit, but they'll be doing a lot of soybean purchase.
US President Donald Trump said he is considering agreeing to a deal to supply Saudi Arabia with F-35 stealth fighter jets made by Lockheed Martin. The potential sale comes as Trump plans to host Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman at White House next week, when they are expected to sign economic and defense agreements. A Pentagon intelligence report has also raised concerns over the potential F-35 deal, warning that China could acquire the aircraft's technology if the sale proceeds. He also hoped Saudi would soon join the Abraham Accords, which have normalized relations between Israel and Muslim-majority nations. Riyadh has resisted such a step in the absence of an agreement on a roadmap to Palestinian statehood. The U.S. Justice Department said it will fulfill President Donald Trump's request to investigate convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's ties to former Democratic President Bill Clinton, LinkedIn founder and prominent Democratic donor Reid Hoffman, and banking giant JP Morgan Chase. The move comes 2 days after a congressional committee released thousands of documents that raised new questions about Trump's relationship with the late financier. This marks the latest in a series of demands by Trump for federal law enforcement to pursue his perceived political enemies. Attorney General Pam Bondi said the top federal prosecutor in Manhattan, Jay Clayton, will lead the investigation. Meanwhile, JP Morgan said in a statement that the U.S. bank regrets its past association with Epstein, who was a client between 1998 and 2013 and did not help him commit heinous acts. Russia on Saturday claimed that its forces have captured another settlement in Ukraine. According to a Russian Defense Ministry statement, the Vostok East group of forces has taken control of the village of Yablukovo in the Zaporizhzhia region. It further said that Ukraine carried out airstrikes and claimed that Russian air defense systems shot down 4 guided aerial bombs and 247 drones overnight. For its part, Ukraine's defense ministry confirmed the drone attacks, saying focus was on the cities of Novorossiysk, where the Russian Black Fleet is located, and an oil refinery in the city of Ryazan. The Democratic Republic of the Congo and M23 rebel group on Saturday signed a peace deal in Qatar's capital, Doha. The agreement was signed by representatives from both sides in a ceremony. Qatar, along with the United States and the African Union, has been engaged in months of back and forth talks aimed at ending the conflict in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, where the M23 has captured key cities including Goma. The fighting has killed thousands and displaced hundreds of thousands more this year, while escalating the risk of a full-scale regional war. Though the deal has been made, U.S. President Donald Trump's senior advisor, Masad Boulos, cautioned that this process will take time.
We're expecting to see probably some immediate results on the ground, but this is a process. This is, and I've said this several times, this is not a light switch that you just switch on and off. This is a peace process, and there are many, many angles to it. So this will take time, hopefully not too long, but we have to allow time, we have to give the chance for the parties to work through these mechanisms.
The UN Security Council will vote on Monday on a resolution backing President Donald Trump's Gaza peace plan, as per diplomats. The text is meant to build on the ceasefire in the 2-year Israel-Hamas war. Washington began circulating the draft last week among the 15 council members. The plan outlines security arrangements, reconstruction steps, and political mechanisms for Gaza's future. The United States has urged a swift adoption of the resolution. Several Arab and Muslim majority nations, including Egypt, Saudi Arabia and Turkey, have also backed a quick vote. On to the big story that we are tracking today. Pakistan Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir can now neither be arrested nor prosecuted for life. Pakistan's 27th constitutional amendment significantly increases its powers and curtails the powers of the Supreme Court by establishing another court above it. This leaves the civilian government with little more than symbolic authority and threatens to weaken judicial independence. Judges have started handing in their resignations and protest. The opposition alliance led by Imran Khan's party has pledged to observe Black Day next Friday against the amendment. For Pakistan's fragile democracy, these changes represent yet another blow. What was once an informal military rule in Pakistan has now become a codified constitutional reality. Here's a report. President of Pakistan, Asif Ali Zardari, has signed a constitutional amendment into law. The amendment elevates Pakistan's Army Chief General Asim Munir to the new post of Chief of Defence Forces or CDF. While until now, the Army Chief was the equal of the Air Force and Navy chiefs, that changes now. Pakistan Navy and Air Force would now be under Munir's command in addition to the Army. This move effectively merges the authority of the Army, Navy and Air Force under a single command, institutionalizing the Army's already dominant role in Pakistan's power structure. The federal government is now legally bound to make senior military appointments only on the recommendation of the CDF. Even more significant is the clause that abolishes the post of Chairman, Joint Chiefs of Staff Committee. That post will cease to exist from the 27th November. The removal of this post eliminates what was once a symbolic check on the Army Chief's power, consolidating all strategic command under Munir's office. The CDF's authority will now extend over the National Strategic Command or NSC, which oversees Pakistan's nuclear arsenal and strategic operations. The new law allows the Prime Minister to appoint the NSC commander for a 3-year term, again based solely on the recommendation of the CDF. The amendment also grants Munir legal immunity for life from arrest and prosecution after his term ends. The constitutional amendment is known as the 27th Amendment. Pakistan's parliament passed the amendment this week. The lower house of parliament approved the legislation with a more than 2/3 majority, with only 4 lawmakers voting against. The upper house passed the bill 2 days earlier after the opposition boycotted the debate. That makes it unusually fast for a constitutional change. Critics say the move will do irreparable harm to democracy. While the military has long wielded extensive power, the sweeping legal changes give it greater constitutional backing that cannot be easily reversed. Pakistan, historically coup-prone, is seeing its longest period of an elected government, even though serious aspersions were cast on the fairness of the last general election. After civilians sought to assert more authority in governance, in recent years, the military has taken tighter hold of the levers of power while not staging an outright takeover. Besides expanding the powers of the Army Chief, the constitutional amendment also curbs the remit of its Supreme Court. Constitutional cases will move from the Supreme Court to a new federal constitutional court, whose judges will be appointed by the government. In recent years, the Supreme Court has at times blocked government policies and ousted prime ministers. Critics say hand-picked judges would now hear the most politically sensitive cases impacting the government, with the Supreme Court dealing with civil and criminal matters. Under the reforms, President Asif Ali Zardari would also get immunity for life from prosecution. While Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif hails the amendment as a step toward institutional harmony and national unity, the changes may well concentrate power in the hands of the military and the ruling coalition and erode judicial independence. Analysts argue that these amendments amount to a formal declaration of military supremacy in Pakistan. By eliminating institutional checks and embedding the Army Chief's authority in law, the legislation has effectively created a permanent military state. The amendments also set a dangerous precedent, allowing future generals to entrench themselves in power without constitutional challenge. Time for us to take a breather. Still to come on DD India News Hour. An analysis on Pakistan Army Chief Asim Munir amassing unprecedented powers and lifelong immunity amid resignations of judges in protest, and a protest call by the opposition alliance.
When we stop seeing ourselves as separate from the world around us, caring for our planet becomes caring for our own existence. So today, let's meet people who are showing us even small steps can bring about lasting change.
I left the teaching job, started protecting palm trees. I began creating awareness among children in schools and colleges why palm trees are important and why we should care about saving them.
This habitat develops on its own inside the vortex pool. There's water moss on the walls and here on the bottom. The moss growth on the walls and bottom is proof that the water quality really is improving.
Past, we didn't know what conservation was or how to preserve or protect the wildlife. Now, through this restoration site, we are trying our best to carry forward a legacy of protecting the environment.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get perspective now on a major development in Pakistan where Army Chief Asim Munir has amassed unprecedented powers and lifelong immunity, and the apex court's mandate has been cut. This has triggered resignations of judges in protest and a protest call by the opposition alliance. For perspective, we are being joined by Ambassador TCA Raghavan, former Indian High Commissioner to Pakistan, and my colleague Amritpal Singh, who covers foreign affairs for us, joins us now as well. Ambassador, I'll begin with you. Judges in Pakistan have started handing in the resignations in protest against what we know is the 27th Constitutional Amendment. Now, the opposition alliance that is led by Imran Khan's party PTI has pledged to hold protests. There are major plans going forward. Why this bid, do you think, to give massive power and also lifelong immunity to Munir? And also, why weaken the Supreme Court by setting up another court for deciding constitutional cases, whose judges again would be appointed by the government?
Well, what we are seeing now is a major effort at turning the clock back. In the post-Musharraf period, which is roughly from about the beginning of the second decade of this century, the civilian political class and the judiciary had accumulated a certain amount of influence and prestige vis-a-vis the army, and they were in a position of pushing back. The military never liked this position and progressively sought to reverse this accumulation of power and prestige in the hands of the judiciary and in the political class. So what we are seeing in some ways in the form of the 27th Amendment is the end of that process, whereby the military now has again re-established its effective supremacy over different organs of the Pakistani state. Secondly, what is also significant is that what was otherwise always de facto, that the army was the principal and the most important arm of the Pakistan military, now de jure in the form of its chief of army staff being elevated over the other service chiefs. So what was de facto has become de jure, and certainly there's a great deal of accumulation of power and influence in the form of in the person of General Asim Munir in his new post of Chief of Defence Forces.
Okay. Let's now go to Amrit. Amrit, I'm quoting here the two Supreme Court judges who have submitted their resignations in protest. There's Justice Athar Minallah, who says that the constitution that I swore an oath to uphold and defend is no more. Justice Mansoor Ali Shah says that the judiciary had been brought under the control of the government and that the 27th Amendment had torn the Supreme Court to pieces. What do you think was the motivation behind such an amendment?
The motivation, as Ambassador Raghavan says, is to consolidate power in the hands of the army. The 27th Amendment does two things. One, it takes over some of the executive powers. It makes the field marshal more powerful. The army chief, who will also be the chief of defense forces, more powerful. He'll have control over the other two forces. So within forces, he becomes powerful, and also, as we know, there is a prime minister, but right now in Pakistan, but the field marshal is far more powerful than him. So the 27th Amendment, in a way, weakens the executive. It also weakens the judiciary, because if anybody could stand up to the army, there was a possibility of the Supreme Court standing up to the army. Remember in 2007, when Musharraf tried to mess with the judiciary, it led to popular revolt, long marches from Lahore to Islamabad, and finally Musharraf had to go. Now General Munir, or Field Marshal Munir, does not want such a situation to arise again. What if some judge pardons Imran Khan? What if Imran Khan comes out? These kind of situations. So here he does not want to leave anything to chance. So General Munir, or Field Marshal Munir, himself and the institution of the army chief becomes all powerful, and the other two legs in democracy, that's the legislature and the executive, become subservient. So I think that is the motivation behind the 27th Amendment. In fact, it completes what was left unfinished in the 26th Amendment, because there was a pushback. They tried to do the same thing in the 26th Amendment, but they had to stop short because of the pushback. We'll have to see now how much pushback is there. Two judges of the Supreme Court, one today of the High Court, have resigned, but unless it leads to a popular movement, because there is precedence in Pakistan. Musharraf's case earlier, Ayub also had to face some sort of a backlash, though he ruled Pakistan for a very, very long time, I think 11 years. But there have been instances where dictators in Pakistan have had to listen to popular will. It all depends upon how things shape up in the coming days, and if it becomes a popular movement, only then we could see such reversal. But right now, the parliament, the legislature, the executive, and to a great extent the judiciary, because only two judges of the Supreme Court and one of the High Court have resigned. Even in the media, some editors have written against it, but mostly it's a compliant state and people with the institution of the army chief. Munmun?
Right. It's interesting that you're talking of the possibility of a reversal too. So let's take that to the ambassador now. Justice Aminuddin Khan, ambassador, has taken oath already as the first Chief Justice of Pakistan's newly established FCC, the Federal Constitutional Court. Now, though this is a huge blow to whatever little democracy was there in Pakistan, is the die cast now, or can popular protest still lead to a reversal?
You see, something quite significant has happened in Pakistan over the past few months. Nobody could have predicted such a decisive shift of power and prestige and influence in favor of the Pakistan army a year ago. A year ago, the Pakistan army was certainly on the defensive. Its image had been greatly dented, and the feeling was that it had ganged up with a section of the political class to keep Pakistan's most popular politician, Imran Khan, in jail. And to do that, it had also rigged the election. So its image had taken a real battering. Following the May-June crisis with India, what the Pakistan army and the Pakistan military was able to do very successfully was to spin a narrative or sell a narrative to its domestic audience that it has successfully stood up to India. And that enhanced its domestic prestige tremendously, and to a great extent repaired that dented image. Alongside that, they have also sold the narrative to their people that our international acceptability, which had gone into a downswing from about 2018 till about 2024, is now on an upswing. And certainly the relationship with the United States, the changes in the interface with Saudi Arabia, all of that animate that process of a wider international acceptability. So because of these two factors, the Pakistan army and the Pakistan military's prestige and popularity in Pakistan is at a relative high. It has certainly improved and regained the position from what it was in 2022, 2023, and 2024. And these are the factors which has now empowered it to carry out these radical constitutional changes, which were in fact not really possible till quite recently. As your correspondent said, the 26th Amendment had also tried to put the clock back where the judiciary is concerned, but it had to compromise and it could not really break up the Supreme Court in the way that the 27th Amendment has now done. So I think when we talk about popular protests reversing this decision, it is useful to keep in mind the fact that the Pakistan Army's domestic popularity is quite strong presently because of this narrative which it has sold to the people that it has successfully stood up to India.
A reputation built on false narrative. AMRIT, judges in Pakistan can now also be transferred to different courts without their consent, and if they don't agree to the transfer, then judges can appeal to the Judicial Commission. But if the reasons are found to be not valid, then the judge would have to retire. So will this, you think, put judges under tremendous pressure to toe the government line? And also, does this really leave no hope for the common man to get any justice, especially in cases that are filed against the government? And can they then go down the path of anarchy, and could this be the beginning of a civil war?
Not the judges would then retire. The judges would assume to stand retired if they do not agree with the executive or that National Judicial Commission, which is primarily appointed by the government of the day and by extension by the army. So clearly, if there is a difficult judge, he stands transferred. He can be transferred to the Constitutional Court. He can be transferred to out, he can be not assigned responsibilities. The judiciary does not have powers to, select in the 26th Amendment itself who will be part of the Constitutional Court. In fact, the 27th Amendment now strips the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. He may not be the Chief Justice of Pakistan. The 27th Amendment says the senior of the Chief Justice of FCC or the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court shall be the Supreme Court Chief Justice of Pakistan. So clearly this is an assault on the independence of the judiciary. It's a bid to make them more compliant. Depends upon will the judges be able to stand up to this? Will the legal fraternity come out? Will the intelligentsia of Pakistan be able to mobilize people? With Imran in jail, his mobilization of his party cadres is limited, and also what the ambassador was saying, given they've been able to sell the narrative of defeating India in what they called Operation Bunyan Marsus, if I'm not wrong, their counterpart to Op Sindoor, their uptick in the relationship with the United States, the promise of Donald Trump getting them more money flowing in through IMF, etc. So the army is in popular perception in a stronger position. That's why when General Munir elevated himself to a field marshal, we saw hardly any kind of protest in Pakistan. Now he takes it a step further and gives himself immunity, and he remains the field marshal for life. He wouldn't be a decorative field marshal, he'll be a serving field marshal for life. He could strut around at the age of 100 in his uniform, with the powers of the Field Marshal, and one who cannot be prosecuted for criminal activities that he may, or actions that he may undertake during his tenure. So clearly here, whether it will go down the path of civil unrest remains to be seen. But I think before such kind of a thing happens, if there is a popular protest, if the intelligentsia, the judiciary, the legal fraternity, as we saw in 2007, mobilize themselves to an extent that the army feels that it could be a threat to the institution, they may want to reverse some parts of Amendment 27. It's not unusual in Pakistan. Many reversals have taken place. Many constitutions have been thrown out. Whenever a dictator came, he either threw out the constitution, brought in a new constitution. Unlike India, they've had many constitutions. And with a new dictator, they had a new constitution. And every time a dictator came, he sometimes abrogated the constitution when it suited him, later brought back the constitution. So, all that can happen. All those possibilities exist. It depends upon how much mobilization of the people power on the street happens in the coming days. But as things stand today, that to me, sitting here in India, watching it from a distance, looks a little difficult, given that the army has been able to consolidate its perception as the savior of the people of Pakistan. The other institutions, be it political parties, stand compromised in terms of popular perception.
Yes.
Munmun?
Right. We'll leave it at that. So what was a fledgling democracy, it seems the cover of whatever little democracy was there is blown off with this constitutional amendment. We'll leave it at that. Ambassador and AMRIT Pal, thank you so much for joining us with your inputs. IFFI 2025 will be held from 20 to 28th November across 5 main venues in Goa, with opening screenings at Miramar and other beaches. That's coming up next. Also coming up, the Wrestling Federation of India revokes the suspension of Paris Olympics bronze medalist Aman Sehrawat and rising talent Neha Sangwan. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. The border guard Bangladesh has detained 7 Bangladeshi nationals, including 4 women and 3 men, on Saturday. They were attempting to cross into India illegally through the Maheshpur border in the Geneva district, which shares a border with India's state of West Bengal. The Maheshpur 58 BGB battalion interception took place during a routine patrol in the border area. Following the detention, the 4 women were transferred to the Justice and Care Centre in Jessore for further assistance and processing, while the 3 men were handed over to Maheshpur Police Station of Bangladesh for legal action. The National Council of Science Museums, NCSM, has been honoured with the prestigious Simuset Award for its climate change gallery On the Edge at Science City, Kolkata. The award, announced during the 27th ICOM General Conference in Dubai, marking a significant achievement for India's science museum community. The gallery was inaugurated on the 11th of January this year by Gajendra Singh Shekhawat, India's Minister of Culture and Tourism, and since its opening, over 1 million people have visited this facility.
The National Council of Science Museums has been honoured with the prestigious Simuset Award for its climate change gallery On the Edge at Science City, Kolkata. The award was announced during the 27th ICOM General Conference in Dubai.
This gallery, since its opening, has been visited by more than 1 million people, and I hope This will empower our citizens to take collective action against one of the most pressing challenges of our times.
Science City, Kolkata, which is a unit of the National Council of Science Museums under India's Ministry of Culture, created a 10,000 square foot permanent gallery to address the urgent realities of climate change.
This gallery talks about three basic things. One is the impact of climate change in different parts of the world. And then we talk of the causes, and finally we talk of the adaptation and mitigation plan for the climate change that is being witnessed by the entire world.
The average temperature of the earth is increasing by more than 1.5 degree from 1900. We will see a world which we have never seen before. So this gallery aims to raise awareness among each and everyone, irrespective of caste, creed, educational background.
The Climate Change Gallery has deepened the understanding of visitors regarding climate change. Numerous schools have arranged visits to Science City, where students have shown remarkable enthusiasm for the Climate Change Gallery. The gallery aims to evolve continuously with new scientific updates and technological innovations.
Praising the initiative, Jacob Thorek Jensen, the chair of Simuset Award Committee, said that the project addresses climate change urgency through an impressive combination of scientific rigor, community engagement, and genuine inclusivity. The Simuset Award honors outstanding science and technology museums and centers that drive positive social change and advance a more equal, inclusive and sustainable world. Vinod Kumar's report for DD India from Dubai.
Union Minister of State for Information and Broadcasting, Dr. L. Murugan, on Saturday reviewed the preparedness for the 56th International Film Festival of India, or IFFI 2025, that is to be held in Goa from the 20th to 28th November. The theme of 56th edition is Convergence of Creativity and Technology, with Japan as the country of focus. The minister held a press conference in Panji, where Dr. L. Murugan highlighted that this year's event will emphasize greater local involvement, featuring a grand parade with 34 groups and 12 tableaus. Over 7,500 delegates from more than 80 countries are expected to attend, with around 270 films set to be screened at the Goa International Film Festival.
This year, we are planning some differently and to involve the local people. For that, this time one parade is organized, almost 34 parades from various states and various departments from Goa government itself. 12 tableaus are there planned. So more than 7,500 delegates are registered from various countries. Almost 127 countries they are registered, but 84 countries the people are going to participate here. In these 84 countries, 270 films are going to screen here in our Goa International Film Festival.
You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for all the sports action. India ended Day 2 firmly on top against South Africa in the first Test match at the Eden Gardens in Kolkata. 15 wickets fell in a day, dominated by bowlers, with South Africa struggling at 93 for 7 in the second innings at stumps, with a lead of only 63 over the hosts. Ravindra Jadeja was the destructor-in-chief, taking 4 wickets, including 2 in 1 over. Earlier in the day, South Africa staged a remarkable comeback to restrict India at 189 runs, with only a 30-run lead in their first innings. India captain Shubman Gill was forced to retire hurt after facing just 3 balls due to a neck injury and did not come out to bat again. The 36th Senior National Fencing Championship kicked off at the IG Indoor Stadium in New Delhi on Saturday. India's Minister of Parliamentary Affairs Kiran Rijiju attended the opening ceremony as the chief guest. He met with several of the nation's leading fencers, including Bibish K, Taniksha Khatri and Abhinansh Kangabam, highlighting Government of India's commitment to nurturing talent and promoting Olympic sports. The championship will see over 600 top fencers compete for 12 gold medals in both individual and team categories across the 3 fencing disciplines. Union Minister Kiren Rijiju has reaffirmed his commitment to promoting fencing in India. Speaking exclusively to DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya at the 36th Senior National Fencing Championship in New Delhi, the minister said that both public and private sector support is crucial to elevate the sport and boost India's medal prospects. Rijiju expressed confidence that the LA 2028 Olympics will be a turning point for Indian fencing, adding that India's fencers are poised to deliver strong performances on the global stage.
Joining me is Union Minister Kiren Rijiju. Sir, you come to the 36th National Fencing Championship. Must have been a proud moment for you, because you have been talking about fencing for a long period of time. In fact, got it in the priority sports during your tenure as sports minister. How does it feel coming here?
First of all, fencing requires support from every corner, because fencing is an Olympic sport. Any Olympic sport requires people's support, government's encouragement, and especially the corporate must come forward to sponsor this kind of national level tournament. Fencing is a very interesting game. It's a reflection of your mind, your body. The players have to be extremely fit. And in the school level, I think we need to push more, because if you want to raise the standard of the game, then the popularity of the particular sport has to be introduced in the schools. When the Khelo India movement was launched, I thought fencing was not initially given that much of support, but later on we included fencing as a priority sport.
That's right. So I also wanted to ask you about there is a problem of finance where corporate needs to come forward. Do you believe, because you are also being a minister, you want to call upon the corporates to come forward, use the CSR funds to help these players, because we have seen in the last few years Indian fencers have done remarkably well in the international stage.
Yes, not only the PSUs, the other corporate bodies, the private sectors must come forward. I will also request FICCI and other organizations like CII and PhD chambers and all to encourage the fencing. Not only fencing, all the Olympic sports must be given priority. At the same time, Modi ji has already given a big push to the indigenous sports.
Much appreciated time. So that was the Union Minister Kiren Rijiju stating that LA 2028 may just be the turning point for India's fencing sport. With camera person Sumit Diwan, this is Tapas Bhattacharya for DD India from Delhi.
The Wrestling Federation of India revoked the suspension of Paris Olympics bronze medalist Aman Sehrawat and rising talent Neha Sangwan. Both wrestlers had been suspended after exceeding their weight limits and facing disqualification at the World Championships and the World Under-20 Championships, respectively. The WFI decided to lift the suspension after receiving an apology letter from the athletes and consulting with the country's top coaches. That's it in this edition of DD India News Hour, but do share your thoughts with us on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. This is Munir Bhattacharya from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.